Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Hello friends, this is the second video from our last chapter. The chapter is titled Object Recognition. In the previous video, we are introduced to what exactly the patterns are, and then we have also seen the pattern classes. So let us begin with this topic, that is recognition based on matching. So here we can start with our topic, recognition based on matching. Let us see the details here. So here we have the decision theoretic approaches to the recognition that are based on the use of decision, or which is also said to be the discriminant with respect to the functions here. So here we let small x to be a set here which is actually a transpose, and the elements can be in the form of a row x1 x2 up to xn here. Here the representation of n-dimensional pattern vector in the form of x we have. Now for the complete or the total capital W pattern classes, here we can have the denotions by omega suffix 1, omega suffix 2 up to, this way we can go for omega suffix w. The basic problem in the decision theoretic pattern recognition is to find the capital W decision functions. They can be respectively d1 of x, d2 of x up to dw of x, with the property that if a pattern x belongs to the class omega suffix I, then we have d suffix I of x that is greater than d suffix j of x, provided j is equal to 1 to up to capital W, where j and I are not equal to each other. In another words also, we can say that an unknown pattern x is said to belong to the ith pattern class if, upon substitution of x into all the decision functions, that is d suffix I of x yields the largest numerical value. Now the decision boundary separating the class omega suffix 1 from omega suffix I is given by the values of x. Here we have the mathematical representation, d suffix I of x minus d suffix j of x is equal to 0. Now common practice is to identify the decision boundary between the two classes by the single function. Thus the d suffix ij of x greater than 0 for the pattern classes omega suffix I, and d suffix ij of x that is less than 0 for the pattern of the class omega suffix j here. Recognition techniques based on the matching represent each of the class by a prototype pattern vector. An unknown pattern is assigned to the class to which it is closest in terms of the predefined metric. The simplest approach here is the minimum distance classifier, which is, as it has the name implies, it computes the Euclidean distance between the unknown and each of the prototype vectors. So let us address the minimum distance classifier here. So suppose we define the prototype of each pattern class to be the mean vector of the patterns of that particular class, and here we have the mathematical denotion by m suffix j computed as 1 upon capital N suffix j, with the summation having the x as the index factor belonging to omega suffix j class, and the summation is operated over x suffix j, where j is equal to 1 to up to capital W. Here n suffix j, that is coming as first onto the RHS side as 1 upon n suffix j, it is actually the number of pattern vectors from the classes. Here we have W suffix j. W is the number of pattern classes in the equation that was onto the previous slide. One way to determine the class membership of an unknown pattern vector x is to assign it to the class for its closest prototype. So using the Euclidean distance to determine the closeness reduces the problem of computing the distance measures. So here we have the denotion into the mathematical equation. So it is represented onto the left hand side capital D suffix j of x, and here j again stands from 1 to up to capital W. So here in this particular equation we have the representation of A having the double bars on both the sides computed as square root of A transpose into A, and this is the Euclidean norm. The smallest distance here implies the best match in this particular formulation of the equation. Selecting the smaller distance is equivalent to evaluating the functions. Here we have d suffix j of x computed as x transpose into m suffix j minus 1 by 2 into m suffix j transpose into m suffix j for j is equal to 1, 2 and so on up to capital W, and here assigning the small x to the class omega suffix I if d suffix I of x yields the largest numerical value. The decision boundary between the class, here we have the two classes represented omega suffix I and omega suffix j for the minimum distance classifier can be given as d suffix ij of x is equal to the difference where we have the first term d suffix I of x and the second term d suffix j of x. By the next line we can represent it as x transpose into the bracket involves the difference m suffix I minus m suffix j minus the second term involves 1 by 2 into the bracket transpose that has the difference of m suffix I minus m suffix j into the last bracket that has m suffix I minus m suffix j here, and this results into 0. The surface given by this equation is actually perpendicular bisector of the line segment that joins m suffix I and m suffix j here. For the case of small n is equal to 2, the perpendicular bisector is a line, and for n is equal to 3 it is a plane, and for n greater than 3 it is called as a hyperplane. Now let us take one example in this regard. Here we have a figure that shows the two pattern classes for corresponding iris versicolor and iris setosa that have been denoted by omega suffix 1 and omega suffix 2 respectively, and they have a sample mean vectors denoted as m1 is equal to 4.3 comma 1.3 transpose, and m2 here it has the two elements 1.5 comma 0.3, it is transposed here. Now let us visualize the figure. The figure caption, here we have decision boundary of the minimum distance classifier for the classes of iris versicolor and iris setosa. Here the tile, dark dot and the squares are the means represented into the diagram. So here we have the diagram in the form of graph having the two axes marked with x1 and x2. Onto the horizontal axis, here we have the first parameter representing the petal length in terms of centimeters. So right from 0, 1, 2 up to 7 centimeters we have the markings here, and onto the vertical axis we have x2 as a parameter representing the petal width again in terms of centimeters. So 0.5, 1, 1.5 and 2 here we have. The representation of the iris versicolor is by a small square here, whereas the small circles denote here iris setosa. The line demarcation represented as 2.8 times x1 plus 1.0 times x2 minus 8.9 is equal to 0, that is represented as separating the two classes from each other. The positive and negative sides of the line are also marked into the diagram. Now the decision functions in this regard, here we can denote d1 of x computed as x transpose into m1 minus 1 by 2 m1 transpose into m1. So here we have the next line 4.3 into x1 added with 1.3 into x2 minus 10.1, and we have d2 of x that is also computed x transpose m2 minus 1 by 2 into m2 transpose into m2. So by the next line it shall be 1.5 into x1 added with 0.3 into x2 minus 1.17. So the equation of the boundary can be given as d suffix 1 2 of x, that is actually the difference, d1 of x minus d2 of x. So it is represented as by the next line 2.8 times x1 added with 1.0 into x2 minus 8.9, and that is equal to 0 here. So let us have one more figure that shows the plot of this particular boundary, and the substitution of the pattern vector from the class omega 1 would yield d12 of x that is greater than 0. Conversely, any pattern from the class omega suffix 2 would yield the d suffix 1 2 of x that is less than 0 that have been shown into the earlier figure. In other words, given an unknown pattern belonging to one of these two classes, the sign of the difference would be the sufficient to determine the pattern's class membership. Now in practice, the minimum distance classifier works well when the distance between the means is large as compared to the spread or randomness of each class with respect to its particular mean value. The simultaneous occurrences of the large mean separations and relatively small class spread occur seldomly in practice unless the system designer controls the nature of the input. An example is provided here by the systems that have been designed to read the stylized character fonts such as the familiar American Bankers Association denoted capital E-13B font character set. So this particularly for the font set consists of 14 characters that were purposely designed on 9:7 grid in order to facilitate their readings. So here we have the figure, American Bankers Association E-13B font character set and the corresponding waveforms. So here you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and onwards the corresponding waveforms onto the right hand side column we can see for respective digits here. Now the segmentation problem here is solved by artificially highlighting the key characteristics of each other. The characters typically are scanned in a horizontal direction with a single slit reading head that is narrower but taller than the characters. As the head moves across the character, it produces a one-dimensional electrical signal, which is we can also refer to as a signature, that is conditioned to be proportional to the rate of increase or decrease of the character area under the head. This pattern repeats itself as the head enters the right leg of the character. The design of the font ensures that the waveform of each character is distinct from that all others. It is also ensuring that the peaks and the zeros of each waveform occur approximately on the vertical lines of the background grid on which these waveforms have been displayed. The use of magnetized ink finally aids in providing the clean waveforms, thus minimizing the scatter. So let us now address the matching by the use of correlation. Finding matches of the sub-image that has been represented W of x, y of the size capital J by capital K within an image f of x, y of the size m by n in capitals, where we assume that J is less than or equal to capital M, whereas capital K is less than or equal to capital N. Now in its simplest form, the correlation between f of xy image and W of xy image is given as C of xy computed by the two summation operations, one with the index parameter s and another with the index parameter t here, and it is operated over the multiplication of f of s comma t with W of x plus s comma y plus t. So this is applicable for small x is equal to 0, 1, 2 up to capital M minus 1, whereas this another dimension here we have represented small y, it is equal to 0, 1, 2 up to capital N minus 1. Now let us have one figure that illustrates the procedure here, where we assume that the origin of the image f is at the top left and the origin of W is at its center. So here we have the figure, the arrangement for obtaining the correlation of f and W at point denoted by x0, y0. So let us see the figure. Onto the horizontal axis we have the markings of small y, whereas onto the vertical axis we have small x here. So vertically the dimension capital M we find at maximum level, and horizontally we have capital N denoted. So origin is also the start of the image represented small f, we can note onto this particular diagram, and see here W that spans for x0 plus s comma y0 plus t you can see here. So both the images f of x comma y and the correlation with which we have to, that is W of the two parameters we can see in this particular diagram. The markings of x0 and y0 can also be made visible, and the maximum dimensions of capital J and capital K for W we have denoted in this particular diagram. Now for one value of x comma y, let us say x0 comma y0, inside the first image small f, the application of the equation yields one value of the correlation C. As x and y are varied here, W moves around the image area giving the function represented C of x comma y. The maximum value or the values of the correlation C indicates here the position or positions where W best matches F. Here we can mark one note also, that the accuracy is lost for the values of x and y near the edges of F, with the amount of error being in the correlation proportional to the size of W. The correlation function given has the disadvantage of being sensitive to the changes in the amplitude of F and W. For example, doubling all the values of the F doubles the value of the correlation denoted as C of x comma y. An approach frequently used to overcome this difficulty is to perform the matching via the correlation coefficient, which is defined as, here we have gamma of x comma y, which is a ratio. In the numerator we have the two summation operations with respect to the parameters s and t computed over the multiplication of the two square brackets, the first square bracket denoting the difference of f of s comma t with f bar of s comma t, whereas the second square bracket denotes w of x plus s comma y plus t minus w bar here. So this was the numerator, and in the denominator we have the square root, where the square root is computed over the summation with respect to s and t, the two summations here, over the squared bracket here, that is f of s comma t minus f bar of s comma t. We have the two summations again operated over the squared bracket that has w of x plus s comma y plus t minus w bar. Here small x ranges from 0, 1 to up to capital M minus 1, whereas the another dimension denoted by small y is also ranging from 0, 1 to up to capital N minus 1. Here w bar is the average value of the pixels into the image W, and f bar is the average value of small f in the region coincident with the current location of W. The correlation coefficient, here denoted by gamma of x comma y, is scaled in the range -1 to +1. The independent of the scale changes into the amplitude of f and w is applied. Now let us have one example to discuss in this regard, that has a figure illustrating the concepts discussed so far. So the figure has part A, that is representing f of xy, whereas part B represents w of x comma y. The correlation coefficient gamma of x comma y is shown in the image in the part C here. The higher, that is brighter value of the gamma of x comma y is in the position where the best match between the f and w was obtained to us. So this is the figure representing A, B and C portions here. So here onto the left hand side you see the image, the alphabets capital A, B, C, D, E, F, one horizontal bar, one square, one isosceles triangle, and here we have the circle represented into the white pixels, whereas rest of the background is completely dark, that is black here. The sub image represented as W, in the middle a capital letter D, here we have the representation into that particular W, and onto the right extreme we have the correlation coefficient obtained with these two operands f of x comma y and w of x comma y. So this is the result of correlation. Let us discuss. Although the correlation function can be normalized for the amplitude changes via the correlation coefficient, obtaining the normalization for changes in size and relation can be a difficult one. Normalizing for the size involves the spatial scaling, a process that it itself adds a significant amount of computation. If a clue regarding the rotation can be extracted from the image f of x comma y, then we simply rotate w of x comma y so that it aligns itself with the degree of rotation in f of x comma y. However, If the nature of the rotation is unknown, looking for the best match requires the exhaustive rotations of W of x, y. Therefore, the correlation seldom is used in the cases where the arbitrary or unconstrained rotation is present. So I hope the understanding of this particular topic is very clear to you people. By the next lecture, we shall be addressing the next topic in the chapter object recognition by the title Optimal Statistical Classifier. I hope you are definitely benefited by the knowledge we share for our subject digital image processing. For any of the more information or doubts regarding the concepts, or if you want the practicals hands-on using the software MATLAB or the practice of miscellaneous problem, you can surely subscribe to Ekeeda channel. Thank you.